Let's take a few minutes and talk about a newer technique in the exclusion industry, using sheet metal and a metal brake. The first thing we're going to need to talk about when it comes to working with sheet metal and metal brakes is the tools needed. First, we're going to need a tape measure, we're going to need an angle square, we're going to need a metal brake, we're going to need a roll of sheet metal, we're going to need a drill and some self-tapping screws, and we're going to need some tin snips. Let's assume you're out on an inspection where somebody suspects rodents are getting in a home. Now obviously one of the areas we would inspect is up on the roof. When we get up on the roof, we see an elevation change like pictured here. The first thing we need to figure out is how are we going to seal up this area? This is where this technique we're speaking of is going to start to come into play. The first step in our process is going to be measuring from the shingles up to the soffit vent in the area we want to do the exclusion work with the sheet metal. You can see the arrows going up and down here that would show about the area we'd want to measure up and down from. This will take care of measurement number 1, which is going to be the height of the area to be excluded. With our measurements, we then have the height figured out. Now we're going to need to measure the width of the soffit vent itself, because obviously we're going to need the sheet metal to fit the whole area. In our next steps, we're going to come down off the roof, we're going to roll out our sheet metal, we're going to measure it, and then we're going to cut it to size. Now we're going to use the tin snips to cut it to the length we want it to be, so then we're ready to put it in the metal brake. As you can see, once you cut your sheet metal, you can put it in the metal brake and you can bend it any way you want. Just look at how nice the bends are in these images. You need to make sure you have a small bend at the top. This is to be able to screw into the soffit vent area. At this point, you can take your sheet metal cutout back up on the roof. You can install it, use something like the Tech self-tapping screws, screw it up in the soffit area, and then I would definitely go around the outside perimeter of it with some silicone caulk. Some clear would probably be the best color. But in reality, at this point, you've justified whatever you're charging the client for this service, as well as you've shown them what a real exclusion job should look like. You'll be the envy of the rodent exclusion industry in the whole area.